being your authentic self.
Phoenix Awakened podcast of Alison and Jason.
I feel like Jason has some things to share on this topic, so I'm actually going to hand it over to Jason first.
We weren't going to do this one today, but
No.
we're sitting outside having a little break because we're doing a full day of filming and podcasting. And what came up was being your authentic self. Just got all these memories come back and understanding about being your true authentic self. One of the reasons that came up was I watched another podcast on YouTube the other night. I've been really into near-death experiences, people dying and then having experiences and then coming back and having all this awakening and all these enlightenments and all this it's really interesting stuff. One of the interviews was somebody coming back from an experience and talking about being your authentic self. And I had an experience about that, and I was doing some channel writing. I was in the cottage again. Had a lot of stuff in the cottage.
Yeah.
I had this writing tell me, we've got somebody special here coming to give you a message. I'm like, oh, excellent. Can't wait. Wonder who it is. And it was Wayne Dyer. So I believe. It sounded like Wayne Dyer. His voice is everything. And he said, Jason, you need to be your authentic self. And I sort of got that on heaps of levels, but I didn't quite get it like I do now. And after watching this podcast about this person being interviewed about being your authentic self, I just got it on a whole completely different level, because he was talking about, so when you go out into life, you go to work, you have a persona. When you go home, you have a persona. When you go to visit friends, you go to a party, you have a persona. You have different masks that you might put on. It actually not being the true you or the authentic you're playing out different characters. And he said that's really, really important, because he said that he had conversations with Jesus. And Jesus was saying that you need to be your authentic self, regardless if it was or wasn't. But the information was really excellent. And I just got for me how we all play, I guess, the role that we're meant to be playing and never being able to just be our true us. And that is true for me as well. And I said to Alison, I said, when I'm healing, that's when I feel like I'm my authentic self. And I don't feel like I can go out into life and be that authentic self, that real self, because people think I'm nuts or crazy or whatever. I already have enough issues with that as it is. Having a different frequency doesn't take you a long way in society, does it?
I notice it more with you than I do with me.
You keep being a sheep, don't be a lion. Keep yourself not real. We don't appreciate that. And that's what we always do. We always go into life trying to be something that we're really not, because society's not, I believe, or what I see and experience, isn't set up for us to be real with each other. Because if that was the case, if everybody was real, could we handle it as well?
Well, if it was done originally, yes. If we all originally were able to be our authentic self, and generations gone and, so on and so forth and everything, everyone would be okay with it. But because everyone is being programmed to be the same, anyone outside of that, then no, we would not be able to handle if everyone all of a sudden
became their true authentic selves.
Yeah, I don't think we would be able to, or maybe not us, but like the majority of humanity might not be able to handle it.
I had a thought, but it went.
Oh.
Yeah. We wouldn't be able to handle the truth.
No. Yeah, I guess it really depends on the person as well. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a really interesting one, and I'm still processing how to be my authentic self. I feel like I am on heaps of levels, but on other levels, I feel like I have to be the pretender.
Well, like you said, you are your authentic self when you're doing healing.
Yeah, and when I'm doing the art, when I'm the artist, like that art aspect of self, I feel like I'm in alignment. So when I'm doing something that I really love and I'm gifted at, I have these gifts and talents and I'm able to express and just be in that 100% moment, I feel like I'm in alignment with all that there is, with my source self, infinite true source. People might call that God. I'm my authentic self. But when I'm outside of that, I really do struggle as a human being that fear of being judged or fear of, so much.
Yeah.
Because nobody really wants you to be the true you. They want you to be the pretend you.
They want you to fit in with their way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what come up for me today with that, and I feel like I'm being nudged to be more my authentic self, but yet I'm struggling with that. So when I go back to work on Monday to be my authentic self, I don't feel like that's a safe place to be my authentic self.
I see what you're saying. And no, I don't believe that it is a safe place to be your authentic self, because your authentic self isn't at that frequency.
No.
Your authentic self is at a different frequency to where you work is. Yeah.
Yeah. And we call it, the 3D.
Yeah.
3D job, 3D existence.
Yeah.
And that's why we've been working on really hard, I guess, to create our own network or own what we want to do to create, so we can always stay in that, be our authentic selves. But maybe it's not about that. Maybe it's about us working on bit by bit, being comfortable to be our authentic self regardless of the consequences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I do know where you're going with that. I feel that being your authentic self is not necessarily how you speak. It is possibly more when you are more comfortable within yourself. For example, when I did a video on AJ and I expressed that I am clairvoyant and I do have all these gifts, and I shared with everyone on AJ about the podcast, whereas in the past I felt scared to be able to share that information with everyone else because I thought that everyone would think that I'm kooky. Whereas now I actually don't care if people think I'm kooky.
Yeah, I understand that, because I don't care either, because I've had my whole life being, I guess, from family and friends being teased about who I am and what I talk about, a lot of what's gone on, and I'm still pushing through to always be my authentic self. And if anybody out there has, I guess, encountered this or is working through this, please leave a comment on your experience with trying to be your authentic self or the true you through all this, what we call life. It'd be interesting to find out, because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that just want to be the true them, be the authentic them, but they feel like there's always these blocks and you've got to put the mask on, you've got to be the pretender, because that's what's expected of you. You know what I mean? Like, I heard somebody say the other day, I was at Coles and the lady's like, how are you feeling? And her authentic self at that time was like, I'm not doing well. But she said, but you don't want to hear that. You want to hear that I'm happy and dandy. And I did that at work the other day. Somebody asked me, how's your day? It's like, it's Tuesday. And that person wasn't happy because I didn't say, oh my God, I'm bloody amazing and I'm happy. And
in customer service, you ask people all the time, how's your day going? Oh, it's good. And then they'll ask you, how's your day going? And if you're having a shit day, you're not going to go, man, my day's been shit. I've got issues with my family, blah, 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 blah. No customer wants to hear that. Again, no one wants to hear that.
No, but we are going a bit deeper with the authentic self. Yet at the same time being real, you talk about being real, what's going on within you, that's not really allowed, and people don't appreciate that either. And I've noticed as well, I've talked to people or watched people say, how are you today? This is another customer. And I'm feeling fantastic, I'm amazing, and they're sincere about how they're feeling, and they're like, do you want to hear that either?
I guess from what you're saying and from what I'm saying is, no one really wants to know that the other person is happy when you're feeling sad.
Or unhappy either.
Or unhappy. You want the person to feel, you just want the person to always say they're good. I think that's what's going on.
Short and sweet.
That is connected to being your authentic self, because if we were our authentic selves and if someone asked us, how's your day going? And we were authentic, we'd be like, well, actually, it's not that great.
So being authentic, does that mean that if you allowed yourself to be authentic without any care factor, you just express if you're happy or not?
I don't actually know. Is that really being your authentic self, or is that a small portion of being your authentic self?
So I'm receiving being the authentic self is the real true you, and how to implement that into your life, into your reality. Yeah,
I would have to agree with you on that. Like, what is it? Who are you at your very core essence?
And how you implement that day in, day out.
Which is something that we've been working on, because I know I always ask myself, what do I like, and how can I be like that, be like me in my everyday life? I do ask myself that question a lot.
Because there's a lot of expectation put upon all of us to perform, to, work for the man, do bend over backwards, not putting a foot wrong. And I think we just all had a gut full of that. All of us just want to be our true authentic selves, doing truly what makes us happy, with joy and love and inspired and creative, whatever it is floats your boat. And it's all being set up. And in a way, we allow ourselves to be set up in that way as well, because of, we at this stage, if you can't create for yourself or create your own abundance, then you're going to have to get it from someone else. So there's expectation of you doing that, doing it well. So it's hard for you to be the authentic self that, when it comes to that as well. It's this big tapestry of poo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how can a person listening to us be able to understand what their authentic self is?
I think that comes from experience, wisdom, being true to you as much as you can, not giving so much a crap about what people think of you, working on letting go of your fears and expectations as much as you can. I mean, we're lucky because we don't have children, and we've created our lives to be as uncomplicated as we can because our energetic world is so complicated. So if we had to have a big family, kids running around and stuff, and plus all that, I don't even know how that would work. I'm receiving, just working on being true to you as much as you can.
And I'm getting also clearing out
what doesn't serve you.
Yeah, what doesn't serve you, clearing out what doesn't serve you, clearing out what is not good for your soul, let's say, and also deciphering and discerning what is you and what is not you. Because we spoke about streaming before, and then also people who are sensitive, if they can pick up, like, let's say, family and friends and stuff like that, they might also carry that or possibly identify with that and then end up also being like that too. Then deciphering on what is you, like really you, and what is not you. Yeah.
It's I was feeling that there's going to be a lot more coming through, but I feel there's being a bit of a block put on us at the moment, which is interesting that...
Because we're talking about being authentic. For me, it really comes down to... I feel like it comes down to peeling back the layers of society, of family, and really going deep within to understand who you are, what makes you tick, what you will and won't allow in your life, what boundaries you can put up, and can you hold it in that place?
Because we were talking about frequencies before.
Yeah.
Keeping yourself at a frequency, higher frequency, so you can access higher knowledge.
Yeah.
Wisdom, directions moving forward.
And I'm getting boundaries are actually a very good part, a very important part of being authentic.
Yeah, and you've had to learn a lot about boundaries.
Yeah, I did. I had to learn a lot about... I had to understand that, first of all, I was allowed to have boundaries. I had to understand that first, because I always believed that I didn't even have a comprehension of boundaries. Then I had to understand that there's a possibility that when I put these boundaries in place, not everyone's going to like it. And then I had to understand that it is okay for me to put these boundaries in place.
What you can do or you won't do, or that type of thing.
Yeah, what I will allow and what I won't allow. And then it also came, once I put those boundaries in place, am I strong enough to actually keep those boundaries in place? Am I being true to myself? So authentic self is probably being true to you. Am I being true to myself?
And I've got heartstrings is coming in for me at the moment.
Yeah, by keeping those boundaries in place. So I guess, heartstrings, being you, being true to you is being your authentic self.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because what was coming to mind was another show we did with heartstrings, and we get played with the heartstrings, and we talked about the Matrix 4 with the heartstrings and all that thing, which was a really big eye-opener on a level when we watched that.
Yeah.
Which plays out with everyone all the time.
Yeah.
To sabotage or to do whatever to keep you off your path that you choose to go on.
Yep.
This is playing part with that as well.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how we've been talking about all these topics, and I always go about the tapestry, but it is all a part of everything, isn't it? That we're experiencing here in this life.
Yeah. Can I just quickly go back to when you were talking about the Matrix 4, just to bring that back up again for everyone that's listening. In the Matrix 4, Trinity had to make a choice. She had to choose between what she was seeing on a physical level, or what she felt deep within her. What her true identity is versus what the Matrix was putting over her eyes. She had to make a choice between those two. And that would be, for me, my understanding of being your authentic self, having to choose who you truly are and living by that.
Yeah, and did she listen to her intuition, her feeling, her knowing at that moment in time?
Or?
Well, she didn't. She bypassed what she could physically see.
So she bypassed the emotional heartstrings that was being played on her, and went with her gut feeling, knowing
something was really off and everything was trying to get her to be on the pathway they wanted. And she said no, set a boundary within herself. No, that's something really wrong here. If I need to keep moving forward, which was to reconnect with Neo, for them eventually to be in control of the Matrix game and get rid of all the turds. But if she didn't do that and she relied on her not
what she was told
and not being her authentic self for that moment, her knowing or true self, that wouldn't have played out the way that it did.
Then in reality, we need to connect with our true self.
Our true essence?
Our true essence.
Yeah, which has been covered up with crap.
With so many different layers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a lot of the different layers come into thought forms as well. Because we have had experiences, or we've had seen people where they believe in one thing and then all of a sudden it's changed, and that is just an energetic thought form.
Yeah, because it's all that streaming and versus intuition, which was the one we did before.
I guess what we're trying to say is that to be your authentic self is just to be you.
The best version of you possible.
Yeah, your true self. Not what your family is, not what your friends are, not what society wants you to be. You.
Yeah, or not what you're told to be.
Yeah, because if I followed what I was told, I don't think I'd be doing this.
No.
Because I was told a lot of other things.
Give us an example of what you were told.
If I didn't follow my own understanding of needing to move forward, needing to move beyond the relationships that I had, I wouldn't be here with you today. If I had believed what I was getting streamed by needing to move, do something else, I probably wouldn't be here today. So there's a lot of things that I got streamed that if I didn't trust myself, knowing that there's something better and that I'm on a path of self-discovery, I probably wouldn't be here today. So I guess for me, because I have trusted that knowing within myself so that I would make these decisions just so that I could be in this moment in time, doing what we're doing. Yeah. And if we weren't watching a certain YouTube video, that the doors might not have opened
in that right moment or time, in that right frequency. Yeah.
And I trust myself, and my authentic self, because I talk a lot, would be talking like this. Yeah. And like you doing the artwork. Your authentic self is your creator being. That's who we are. That's our authentic selves.
And expressing that in your day-to-day life as much as you can.
Trying to express that in your day-to-day life is probably very different.
So it's like you need to be that energy. So you're right, because you said before, it's not always 3 words. It's your energy is that it is. I am that I am.
Yeah, and then, but however, saying that, so, like, life just happens, just life happens, and you can't always, or you try to always be in that energy, but sometimes something happens and, it can be a bit challenging to always be in that frequency.
Yeah, because you get tested along the way. You get things given to you to see how you react to it.
And a lot of the stuff, for example, for the last few years would show definitely if people are being their authentic self or not. Whether you believe something that everyone else is believing or whether you choose to believe differently, knowing that what has happened is actually not the truth.
And I'm also getting shown people that I'm around a little bit more at the moment that can't be their authentic selves because they've been through trauma or they are wounded and they've had to be the pretender to be something that they're not.
To fit in?
To fit in, or they're in a power position that they need to perform, and maybe they do have really good hearts, but they've had to create this persona, not their authentic self, to survive. And we do that a lot too, because a lot of people are in survival more than ever. And it's really hard to be your authentic self when you're in that survival state of being. Because I feel like a lot of people have really good hearts, really do care. Most people just want to live their life the best they can, the most joy-loving, fulfilling experience. I really do believe that. But everybody's been conditioned and being pummeled and being shot down and shut down, and everything's just... You're always in survival. You don't know how to be your authentic self really anymore, because it's just like you said, it's like you are the diamond and it's all the stuff around the diamond, and you got to try to chip it away so you can be the true diamond again, the true authentic self.
Yeah, and you need to, and I'm just getting, you need to feel safe in order to do it.
Yes, that's a really big one.
And this day and age, unfortunately, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure there's heaps of places where people are feeling safe and secure within themselves, but there's a lot going on physically and energetically where people might not feel safe to do so.
And that's part of the experience as well, is to learn to feel and be safe within you, because if you too much fear, too much in that, you'll create, because you're in that frequency, you're going to attract that back to you. So it's really, really, really important that you try your best to, even if you have to talk to yourself, we are safe, we're okay. To keep a level of frequency so you don't keep on attracting that you are.
I'm getting a really good example. For example, I'm getting the word newbies. So new beings that come into this frequency or come into this reality that don't fully understand what the human experience is about might feel out of whack. And they might feel that they can't be them true selves because they need to try and fit in because they feel like a bit of an outcast. And then I'm also getting a lot of people go to Comic-Con because that's where they feel safe to possibly really express
their authentic selves,
who they feel they are. Yeah.
So creating a life with people and friends that you can be authentic with.
Yeah.
And you are feeling safe with, and vice versa with them.
Yeah. And if that means that you need to actually step away, if you're in a group that doesn't make you feel like your authentic self, then it might be time to step away.
And you got to carry the mask.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
it's
here
tiring.
We go. Yeah, I've got to put the mask back on. I've got to be this particular person within all the friend group and not able to be my authentic self, because that person might feel that if I become my authentic self, I won't be loved anyway. Well, then you don't want to be those people anyway, do you?
Nope. And that can be in family as well. Like you might have to feel like you have to always be happy just to keep the family happy. Because the minute that you're sad, they'll be like, well, why are you sad? You're always happy. But that would be the persona that,
that person's put on.
Yeah.
Just to be able to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So taking off the masks and working on being your authentic self, even just within your energy.
Then in reality, to be our authentic self, we need to feel safe.
Yeah, that's one of the components. Because it's more than just being safe, isn't it? It's about being loved. If I were to take the mask off and be my true self, am I going to be loved?
Yeah. And that all comes down to being part of a community as well, which goes back to, caveman stage and, everything from, we go back further, but I'm just going back to caveman days or tribal days, that if you weren't part of a tribe, you'd be an outcast and then you would have to survive on your own.
That's true. Yeah, you get thrown out of the society, no matter if it's small or big. Yeah. You're an outcast. You got to defend yourself and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you have to question, then you have to go, well, am I going to be my authentic self and stand by my truth? Or am I going to just follow everyone else? I've got a really good example. A few years back, I was working on my own personal stuff and Joan of Arc came through.
Yep, remember that?
Yeah. we were sitting in the kitchen and Joan of Arc came through, and pretty much, I don't remember exactly what she said, but the gist of the story of her message is that you got to be true to you no matter what happens. And I'm getting really emotional, so that because for her story, she was true to herself, even though they burnt her. I think they burnt her at the stake or something.
I can't remember. But
it
wasn't good. Wasn't a good ending.
Yeah, it wasn't a very good ending. But she believed in her truth, even when people tried to tell her in order for her to save herself, she had to lie. And
she chose to be her authentic self to the end.
Exactly. And then I also got other females coming through telling me that they, and I don't like using the word wish, but I have to use the word wish in this context. They had wished that they stood by their truth because they didn't, out of fear that they were going to be judged. So therefore they went with society, and then when they passed, they had wished that they had followed their own truth. Because I was there witnessing all this, and the energy was big, and it was a really big night, and I'm thinking, what the hell? Here we go again, Alison. Really? That was a very important information and clarity to come through for us to make certain choices, especially for you to make a certain choice or choices to move forward that you believed was right for you. So being your authentic self, I feel from the information that I had gathered from all these females, is to follow what is your truth. That to me is being your authentic self, even if it means that not everyone else believes in the same thing that you believe in.
Follow your own truth.
Your
own compass, moral compass.
That's what I feel being your authentic self is.
So we sort of nutted it out along the way.
Yeah, we did.
Bit of a jumble journey here, but we got there. Because it was a really important thing to talk about.
So that story will always stick with me, and I guess that story will always come out when it needs to come out, especially when we're needing to make a choice. And we've also come across forks in the road where we had to go, what is our truth in this?
What is our truth? Not the truth that's being presented to us. And
I feel that is the connection to being your authentic self, is what is your truth.
Let us know, anybody out there, if anybody out there has gone through this. Just leave a message on the podcast or YouTube description, whatever you fancy. I feel like this is an important one for some reason.
Is there anything else that you want to share that you're getting at the moment?
I just had to put it out there and just discuss it.
For me, I'm really glad that you did, because I feel that it's so important that we all stick to our own truth.
There will be a reason for it, not just for us, but for people who are listening. That's what I believe is for us to talk about this today.
I do feel that the best way to explain being your authentic self is just to stick to your truth. What is true for you? You might change that later on, but what is true for you in that moment? And what boundaries are you going to set for yourself?
Thank you for your input. I do appreciate it as always.
Thank you for your input and your ideas. I do appreciate that as well.
We inspire each other. Well, thank you for watching and listening, everyone, and tuning in. We do appreciate and love you. We hope that you got something from this today. We do care and love you, and we'll see you and you'll hear us in the next one.
See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.